this is Rochelle with The Healing Rose, and today I'm doing a VR to Art Garden Oracle with the hashtag top 10 deck pairs. So without much ado, let us get right to our first pairing. So I have the Mists of Avalon Oracle by Rose and Sarah, illustrated by Nadia Turner, which is a really fabulous, I love this oracle so much. And I absolutely love having it paired with the Wildwood Tarot. So this is a deck by, there's a couple of people on this. It's John Matthews and Mark Ryan. And it is illustrated by Will Worthington. So I have trimmed this version. I've taken off the big borders to make it a little bit more manageable. This deck has been out since, I don't know, maybe 2007, maybe earlier. It's been a while. So I love the color palette on this one. I absolutely love the vibe of both these decks. So Wildwood is kind of like a little druidic, a little pagan, very very early British myth. And the Mists of Avalon is much the same. Pardon me. Oh my goodness. It is much the same kind of feeling, right? Similar color palette. So we have a lot of these kind of golden green. We have a lot of browns, a lot of that forest tones in there. It's just, they absolutely go perfectly together. And I actually even like using them with the Avalon Magic little mini oracle deck that came out, and the colors, it has the same images, but a lot of the meanings on the back here, a lot of the little blurbs that it gives you are actually quite different from what it tells you in the book. So they're not just super repetitive, it adds just an extra layer. So this is a favorite. It's a favorite pairing, and I often just add this little extra oracle in with this one. So it's got that real kind of mythical British Isles, Avalonian, druidic vibe between both decks. And they're just so complementary. I love these ones together. Okay, so that will be our first combo. So I actually am pretty sure I have more than 10. And that's just how it's going to be. Okay, let's go with this one. So we have the Linestrider Tarot by S. Thompson. And I absolutely love it paired with the Mystical Shaman Oracle. So this is a Colette Baron Reed, Marcela Lobos, Alberta Viodo. And so Alberto and Marcela are both, they both come from that South American shaman school. They both spent many years in South America studying shamanism. So that's the tradition it comes from. It's not that Northern European tradition. So the symbolism is a little bit different, but I love the color palettes, how they work. I love how they both decks have this element of being slightly deconstructed almost, right? It's like the image is almost a little unfinished. So that gives you that. I absolutely love how these two work together visually. It's very complementary. And color-wise, I love how they kind of flow. So yeah, these two, I really like these two. This Linestrider Tarot does not always, I have found it hasn't, for me, always played well with other decks. So it's nice to find something that complements it. All right. So that is our second one. Okay. This one. So this is an independent deck. This is our Light Seers Tarot from Chris Ann, which is a very popular deck. I know it gets a lot of use. It is going to be familiar to pretty much everyone out there. Okay, those are stuck, but you'll get the idea from these ones. This is the Witch's Familiar Runic Oracle by Athene Noctua. It is coming out in a mass market edition that will be this size. Right now I just have the independent version. The mass market version is coming out very shortly. I think in the next few weeks it comes out. It just pairs beautifully. First off, it is a fantastic runic deck. So if you're not interested in having a set of actual physical runes that are done with antler or bone or done in stone, I've since lost my wooden set. I had wood, I had bone, I have crystal ones, I have stone ones, and I have several card decks. This is so far my favorite card deck to do with rune cards, and it pairs really beautifully with this deck. We're getting a bit of a bow in the cards. What's that about? So sometimes it just happens. Right now we have a big shift in weather, so there's a lot more humidity in the air. I think that's affecting some of my cards. But I mean, they go beautifully together. I mean, often I like to just take the runes and I love having the card deck. It's a beautiful option, and I'm really excited for the mass market version to come out. And often I like to just take the runes and just shake them out over top of a reading just to see which cards they land on, because often that gives another layer to what's actually going on. So that's kind of fun, but I'm loving that card deck and I'm really enjoying it. I didn't actually think I would like the Lightworkers Tarot, or yeah, Light Seers, sorry. But yeah, it's actually turning out to work quite well. Okay, let's see. So this is a tarot with another independent oracle. This is my Witches. Is it Witches? Yeah, Witches Tarot by Ellen Dugan, which is still in print, still available. You can still pick it up. And this is the second edition Practical Magic Inner Witch Oracle from Grounded by the Moon. It's available through their Etsy shop. There will be other versions of it that you will see out there. Those will be counterfeit versions. Buy original, people. These two work beautifully together. So of course it's based on practical magic. Many of you will know that from the movie. It's also a book series by Alice Hoffman, which is great. The series is very different. The books are very, very different from the movie. Just be forewarned. But these two pair beautifully together. I love how they read really well together. I actually really like this oracle just on its own. It is always a little pricier to get the independent oracles, but you're going to get superior quality. Mine is the new moon version, so it's got this beautiful metallic black blue gilding on it that is just absolutely gorgeous. It's a heavy quality thick paper stock, which is super fun. This one travels with me everywhere, so it's beginning to get a little bit beaten up, but I have another copy. If you love a deck, get two. I will say that I have had dogs chew up and eat decks. I have had people spill coffee on your deck. Like, all kinds of crazy stuff will happen over time. So if you really love a deck, I would strongly suggest, if it's one you're like, I could not live without this deck, then you need to make sure you get yourself a second copy while it's in print, because it's always really sad when a deck goes out of print and then you can't find it. All right, so that is our Practical Magic with our Witches Tarot. I love these two together. They are so fun to read with together. Those are awesome. All right, I don't know where I just put the little bag that it lives in. That's fun. I guess you'll just hang out there on the shelf. As long as I don't knock it over, we're all good. And then I'm playing 78 pickup, which is never fun. Okay, ooh, what's next? These two. Love these two. All right, so this is the Star Codes Astro Oracle by Heather Roan Roberts, artwork by Lucas de Souza. Okay, the artwork on these is just phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And I love this paired with this deck, and I've had this deck for about a decade, and it was one that I really enjoyed, but I just didn't use it as much as some other decks. And this one is a Llewellyn deck. This is from Hay House. So this is the Revelations Tarot by Zach Wong. And what's really cool is that each card has one meaning when it's reversed, and it shows the alternate when it's upright. So depending on how you are using it, this artwork between the two decks is so complementary. The color palette is just phenomenal. I cannot believe how well these two decks go together. I absolutely love the way the tone in these color palettes. I mean, honestly, you would not think that they're so dramatically different for the timeline that they were created in. But it's just, they're gorgeous together. These really vibrant jewel tones just absolutely, they pop right out at you. They're fabulous. I love these together. I mean, I fell in love with this one, and I was it kind of wanted to work on its own. It didn't really get along, didn't really go well with many of the other tarot decks that I had. And then I just, all of a sudden one day I was like, oh, what about that Revelations? And I popped that off the shelf, and just like totally blew my mind how incredibly well these two go together. Okay, what's next? Let's do this. This will be the other astrology deck. So we have the Crystal Visions Tarot by Jennifer Galasso, which I have trimmed and edged. So this is a US Games deck. And the Heavenly Bodies Astrology deck by Lily Ashwell, which is a little bit more expensive. You can still pick it up on on Amazon or via Lily Ashwell's actual website. These two work so beautifully together. The color palettes are so complementary. I feel like the art styles really complement each other well. So this is a very pale watercolor deck. It does have some cards that are a little stronger. And it is a little more, it's not quite so straightforward as some other oracle cards might be, but it is a beautiful deck to work with. It has a lot of layers. The guidebook is amazing. The packaging it comes in is amazing. So these two decks absolutely complement each other beautifully. I'm still torn as to whether or not I'm actually going to trim off those white borders on this deck. I don't know. I love it though. Absolutely love this Heavenly Bodies Astrology deck. Is absolutely stunning. Okay, let's plunk that up there. Put that with it. Okay. And next we have, all right, so this is the Enchanted Forest Tarot from Lunea Weatherstone. And this is the Mirror Truth Lenormand by Sylvia Neitzer. And these two are absolutely fabulous together. The color palette is just, it's absolutely fabulous. The colors are so complementary. It's a really, really beautiful Lenormand. It reads really well. Visually, it's got that same tone in the color palette. So you don't often read Lenormand with tarot. I mean, often I use them separately. Sometimes I will do these and then I will add a third in, like a third oracle. Usually the one that I add, oops, is under here, is the Whispering Woods, which again is one of these little mini ones, and it just has really cute little little messages with it. So this one, so I usually just do, I like to do these three together, actually, if I'm really honest. I like the Whispering Woods with the Enchanted Forest and this beautiful, this Mirror Truth Lenormand is actually, it's a bigger card, so it's almost the same size as the tarot, which is interesting. You don't often see that with Lenormand, but I kind of like it because the other ones, like a lot of the other ones, they're very small, so they're harder to see. I mean, this is really challenging if you're going to do a full spread. I tend to do 3 cards myself when I'm doing them. I tend to just do 3 Lenormand or a pair versus doing a grand tableau where I'm filling up an entire table with them. But it's a gorgeous deck. I just kind of came across it sort of accidentally one day, and really glad I decided to keep it and bring it home, because it's worked out quite well. That mirror truth. It's definitely a little bit more interesting. It's not as ornate as some of the ones that come in this larger size. They have like, seems like they feel like they have a lot more going on in them. So there's that. Oops, let's just knock over everything while we're at it. Okay, so these two, the Muse Tarot and the Elemental Empath Oracle. So this is another independent oracle. I will put links to each of these to their creators' Etsy shops where they're selling their decks. This is a really, I really enjoy this. It's not a super heavy duty where you're going to do a lot of heavy shuffling with it. It's a little bit lighter cardstock, but it's fabulous. I wasn't 100% sure how I was going to be using it or what I was going to be using it for when I backed the Kickstarter for this deck. I really, really enjoy it with the Muse. They're both that kind of divine feminine energy, and the feeling of the cards, like the layers, it's really, really wonderful. They work really, really well together. And I did not necessarily expect them to. Like, I mean, when I got this deck, I didn't have like a lot of expectations as to what exactly I was gonna do with it or how I was going to use it. So it's been interesting. One of the things I really enjoy actually is all of these little, like, every card has these like flowing beams of energy, right? And then most of these cards in the Muse deck have something similar where they've got these prism effects or these rays. And so even though the art styles are quite different between the two decks, they look like they go together, right? Like there's that thread of that similar thread between the two decks that give it that, I don't know. I just really enjoy it. I really like the way they work together. It's got a lot of interesting layers when you start putting these two together. And Chris Ann's book with this deck is really good. Like, I mean, even if you've read, you've read from a million decks, it's always worthwhile to actually read the guidebook. Sometimes I'll get a deck and I'll work with it before I read the guidebook, just to see, like, just so my intuition is not clouded, right? It's not colored by already knowing what's happening or what's coming. So that is, that's an interesting, kind of way to do it. And then I'll go and I'll read the guidebook and see if what the cards were giving me went with what my intuition was telling me. So it's kind of like a fun exercise to do, but I mean, I always recommend actually reading the guidebook. Okay, so we have the Mary Magdalene Oracle by Megan Watterson, illustrations by Moonjube, and let's just move this over here. And this is the Grail Tarot by John Matthews. The illustrations are Giovanni Caselli. So you can see this deck has taken some damage. I used to read with this all the time. So the Grail Tarot is Christian themed. However, it is more, what does he call it? How does he reference that? a Templar vision. So there's a lot of the myths of the Templars and their stories and their organization within the deck. There is a lot of basis in Gnosticism. Visually, these two work beautifully. Now, I just received this summer. It just came out in July, just in time for the feast day of St. Mary Magdalene. And it goes beautifully with this deck. This deck came out maybe 2007, 2008, something like that. So I've had this one for a long time. I've done like a million readings with it. Color palette wise, they go beautifully together, but theme wise, they weave together quite seamlessly. So this deck follows the teachings of Mary Magdalene from the Gospel of Mary Magdalene. And this deck works with those Gnostic themes, the different themes about Mary Magdalene and about Christ and the Templars and the kind of almost alternate maybe mythology to mainstream Christianity, to what it tells us, right? So they work very, very interestingly together. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea. John Matthews also did, well, not only did he do the Wildwood Tarot, which is quite different, but he also did the Cathar Tarot, which is another look at an alternative Christianity, which is quite interesting. I don't enjoy it quite as much as this, but maybe I'll do a side-by-side flip between two of his decks. I do love these two together, though. These are really, really beautiful. And what's cool about this deck is that it's actually one big scene. So when you actually have the cards in order, it tells, like, it lays out a tableau, which is very, very cool. So that it's going from, like, it lays out a scene through each of the suits, as well as through the major arcana. It's a different mural that it paints. So that's kind of cool. I do love working with these two together. So, and I've spent years studying Gnostic texts and the Magdalene mysteries, and so I enjoy how these two work together. This is one I haven't read. I used to read this deck with another tarot deck with it, or sometimes like 3 tarot decks together to get, like, you know, expand upon the layers, which was kind of a fun way to read, but it, you know, takes a lot to get all those cards together. All right, what do we have left? Okay, we've got a couple more here. Okay, so this is the Radiant Wilds. This is Gersberger. So this is a gilded deck. It is from Rockpool. It's a really beautiful, vibrant, desert-themed, stunning deck. And I absolutely love it with the Isis Oracle by Elena Fairchild, the artworks, Jimmy Manton. I mean, color-wise, these two are just so phenomenal together. I absolutely love these. They read really well together too. This deck adds an interesting layer, and it doesn't matter whether you're using this or you're using the pocket version. I mean, they both pair beautifully. I often will just use the pocket version with this because it's, you know, it's here, right? It always kind of sits on the deck, or on the desk rather. And I mean, they're just, it doesn't matter if you're using the bigger one or a smaller one. It kind of depends on my reading situation, how much room I have, and what layers I'm looking for. But I mean, they're absolutely, I love this Radiant Wilds deck. All those, the orange and that lapis blue and the raspberry tones. It's just really, really fabulous. That kind of malachite green that they have in here. It's fantastic. I think it works really well. So I will use interchangeably either the pocket version or the the full-size version. Just depends on what I'm doing. When I'm traveling, I take the little one with me. And when I'm at home, I use the full-size version. Often if I'm doing readings to record them though, just for sake of visuals, for people being able to see the card, I'll often use just the little one. But I really love this Radiant Wilds. And it's gilded, which is fabulous. Everybody loves that little bit of extra sparkle on a deck. Okay, what do we have left? I think maybe. Oh, I do have one more. Okay. All right, let's move that over. These are all just, they're literally just stacked up as pairs on my counter. So the Crystal Unicorn Tarot by Pamela Chen, illustrated by Lisa Higuchi. Right, if you see one and it doesn't come with a guidebook, it has a QR code, it is a counterfeit, do not buy it. Don't support the thieves. Okay, so the Crystal Unicorn Tarot and the Law of Positivism Healing Oracle by Shireen Oberg, artwork by Lori Mena. So this is just if I'm having a bad day, these two. I love them. So I guess this is kind of like the extra. It's like, I don't know if it's number 10 or number 11. Well, listen. Yep. There's a pair of chipmunks that lives outside the front window. And they come around mid-afternoon and drive my little dog nuts. So that's fun. All right. Yeah, these are beautiful together. I love them. I love it, love it. Yep, any of the, oh, look at that. Stunning, absolutely stunning artwork. Just totally beautiful. The color palettes are so soft. The messages on this deck are just so beautiful and positive and uplifting that, you know, if you're having like a really rotten day and you need something that's going to make you smile, this is my happy smiley deck. And it is a Rider-Waite clone, but it's in the most adorable way possible. So, all right. So that would be all of my perfect pairs. If you have enjoyed this and you've stuck around this long, I would love if you would hit that little like button down below. If you feel called to subscribe, that would be fantastic. In any case, I will leave a list of the decks down in the description box. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Take care.